We're live. Mike Wolf, original level designer on Heroes of Might and Magic 3 from 1999, and want to get to know y'all. And I posted a video, or excuse me, a social media post on here about a week ago asking where you're from. And I got over 1,000 views. And I have to tell you, I think Poland wins. Poland wins because there's so many people in this group from Poland. I don't speak Polish, man. Sorry. I speak English. I'm from the United States, and the game is also made in the United States. We're here to have a good time, here to, just discuss a few things and tell you about my experience while being on the Heroes of Might and Magic 3 team as a QA tester and as a level designer, and talk about a little bit about myself, how I got into gaming, who I am today, some of the maps I've worked on, things like that. So here we are. So I guess I'll start with gaming. How did I get involved in gaming? Well, I am in Gen X. I was born in the early 70s and basically started gaming on the Atari 2600 in the late 70s. That thing was a game changer, and many hours wasted, many school tests failed because Atari, So some of my favorite games on Atari, naturally Pac-Man, of course, but Kaboom was an amazing game that I loved to play. Space Invaders. I spent a lot of time in Haunted House, even though that game was real easy. It's easy to beat. Asteroids was a really good one, but anyway, those are my roots of gaming. Just these coin drop converted to Atari. Very simple, but very replayable games. And that kind of is what really got my attention. Is these games are playable over and over again, even though it's the same game. So I moved on to, what other games came out back then? The Intellivision, Utopia for the super nerds. Utopia was two islands, and then you build your crops and you build your cities and you manage the island, and against the other opponent on the screen. And every round there were points. I loved the city management games. Those are great, and I think the Utopia on Intellivision was one of the first city management type games. And then, of course, you move on to SimCity. Loved that game. Anyway, I loved all these games. And then my friend Tim introduced me to a game. Tim, by the way, is a QA tester and was a designer on the Might and Magic 6 and Might and Magic 7 games that were being designed and developed pretty much at the same time as Heroes 3. 6 had already been released, and he was working on Might and Magic 7 while I was working on Heroes of Might and Magic 3. So he introduced me in the 80s to a game called Wasteland and Bard's Tale on the Commodore 64. And at first I'm like, this is lame. This is taking forever. This is stupid. But then I started actually a lot of reading, really getting into the characters and really getting into the story. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. So, so I really got into that, and then years and years later, Wasteland 2 came out, Wasteland 3 came out, Fallout, bro, just Fallout. You know what I mean? Amazing franchise, and so that kind of led me into just got sucked further and further into games. And then the one that really sucked me in to be a hardcore PC gamer, Warcraft 2. Battle.net edition specifically, but this game's like, I have to get a computer. I have to. I have to get a new computer for this game. And just such an awesome game. And so that's kind of where really foundation took hold. And to fast forward a little bit, it was the mid 90s. I had been married already. I was kind of like looking for a career still. And my friend introduced me to New World Computing, Tim, actually. He says, we got some QA test openings, and why don't you come on over and interview? So I did, and I got the job. So I was an entry level QA tester on Vegas Games 2000, another game developed by New World Computing. That game basically, in between the big releases, they released gambling games just basically to keep the lights on, and they were cool games. They were fine, you know, blackjack and casino games and whatnot. But that was my, you know, dipping my toe into the shallow end of the pool just to see what QA testing video games was all about. And you know, got that game released, and fun fact about that game, I went into QA test casino games, 21, blackjack, poker, you know, craps, all of these games. I didn't know how to play any of them. I'm not a card gamer, you know what I mean? I don't play cards. So I had to learn blackjack, and I knew how to play blackjack, but like 5-card draw, 7-card draw, all these other gambling games. Never knew how to play them. So it was fun. It was really fun. So I had to learn those games in order to test them. And so that's kind of how I had the Hellfire Brimstone tutorial on how to play gambling games. So, but that led into being a QA tester for Heroes of Might and Magic 2 Gold, which was the final kind of episode of Heroes of Might and Magic 2. So I got to QA test. I think it was like an expansion of one campaign and several maps just to kind of wrap up the whole franchise of Heroes 2, and got to test that as well. That was a whole nother level because, you know, you have so much more going on with the heroes and the spell points and the knowledge points and the movement on the map and the adventure items and just everything. And I had to really learn how to do that too, because to be honest, I'd never played a game like that. A turn-based role-playing game was new to me, so I had to learn that as well. And I remember actually absolutely hating Heroes of Might and Magic 2. I remember being pissed off playing Heroes of Might and Magic 2 because no matter what I did, I'd just get pounded on. You know, I'd walk over to this creature, whatever they are, peasants or dragons or anything in between, and just like this game sucks because I just kept losing. Just kept losing. And I remember telling Tim, I was like, dude, how the hell? I am glad I'm getting paid to play this because this game is trash. I hate it, and I just kept going back and trying. Lose. I'm like, this is $1 billion industry. Why? So I went home that night after just being so frustrated playing Heroes of Might and Magic 2, and I'm like, wait a minute. If that game got into my head and pissed me off that much, this is an incredible game. And my whole mind just switched. I'm like, this is one of the best games I've ever played. Then I went back the next day, and people, of course, the other QA guys were, oh, Wolf's pissed off again, baby. I'm like, no. I had an epiphany. This is one of the best games I've ever played in my life. And I started really getting into it and learning, you know, the movement and the spells and the story and how the mechanics of the game actually worked. And it really just turned something over for me. So that was very, very cool. I didn't actually do any level design for Heroes 2 because the ones that we were testing already done. And I'm kind of glad it happened that way because it really gave me the chance to get to know the game. And so after Heroes 2 Gold was released, we immediately started working on Heroes 3. And the one thing that I noticed immediately. Now, I'm a musician. I've been playing drums since 1984. I've been involved in music my entire life. I'm a DJ. Music is a cornerstone of my life. It really is. And I've just been performing live. I've played in Los Angeles. I've played in Colorado. I've played live thousands of shows and hundreds of bands. And it's something I love. Just passion. I've played with Tim Tim Lang is also a musician. He was a designer on Might and Magic 6, Might and Magic 7, Might and Magic 8, Might and Magic 9, and he also is a musician. We jammed together for years. Anyway, the first thing I noticed on Heroes of Might and Magic 3 was the soundtrack. I remember listening to it, I'm like, oh, oh, this is really good. And I just was sucked in immediately. Just that this is something. This is something big. And that's not to say that the Heroes of Might and Magic 2 soundtrack wasn't great, because it was also phenomenal. I remember two incidences when we heard the theme music for one of the towns in Heroes 2. I wish I could share my screen. Whatever, I'll do it next time. But and I remember the QA room just stopping like, oh. And just listening to the music, it was like, this is so good. This is so good. And we just like, whoever wrote this music, Paul Romero, dude, you killed it. Killed it. And that just sucked me in, man. My favorite theme is the Stronghold theme. Dude. So we started designing maps and testing the alpha version of the map editor and just kind of working all that out and writing up bugs and making sure we had a good product to work on so that we can design the game that we're still playing today. You know, and again, I had never edited maps before, and I barely knew how to play the game. But I did a lot of homework. You know, I noticed immediately, you know, in the fantasy genre, there are several similar creatures and lore in different stories. I mean, obviously Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, this whole thing. And I did a lot of homework and learned as much as I can so that I could create, you know, believable stories and scenarios and adventures in these maps. So, you know, some of the maps I made, honestly, very simple because I was a beginner, you know what I mean? But I tried to either inject humor or some kind of story, or just tried to make it light and you know, fun, because a lot of the scenarios and the maps in Heroes 3 very serious, a very driven story of characters and the whole thing. There was lore that, quite frankly, I wasn't really involved with and didn't really know about because I was so new to the game. So I took the approach of, yes, have a great story, but let's inject some fun. And the thing that really made me kind of accepted onto the team was I made my very first map, which was Overthrow Thy Neighbors. And it basically just a three or four player, you know, win the game, conquer all your enemies. And you start down at the bottom and you have to go up to the Inferno and defeat that guy, and then you got to go across the island and cross the river and defeat that guy, and you're down here in the corner as a stronghold. But you can choose your different towns, because I always like to make my single player maps where you can choose as much as you can before you start playing. So that was my first map, but within the first turn, you can get your ore, you can get your wood, you can get your, you know, many of the artifacts, or excuse me, the resources. So, but one of the little blips that I put in there was that, you know, Sandro, or one of the Inferno characters, has sent back a very evil message, and they're going to threaten your life and kill you and blah blah blah. And I just wrote in there as just a passing blurb. It was like, you know, you look up at your advisors and they just stood there blinking at you back. And that line alone kind of solidified my level design position, basically, is like, let's inject some comedy into this thing, even if it's just a throwaway line, you know. And it really worked. And that actually got me to the point where I designed the Foolhardy Waywardness campaign. It's a hidden campaign in Armageddon's Blade, and you have to play all 6 campaigns, and then you unlock the 7th. And the whole point of that map was that all of the level designer teams were to just inject comedy. You know, this is a funny, silly romp. You know, it was nothing serious. You know, you actually had to complete the campaign, but it was just a bunch of funny jokes and crap that we were too afraid to put in the actual game. We took all of those jokes and fun and put it in this campaign. Very easy, to be honest, and ridiculous, but a fun map, a fun campaign. So that's kind of, you know, that. I mean, there's another story of, I remember one day, it was when we were in crunch time, and I go to get a soda out of the soda machine. It's a Coke machine. And I put the quarter in, and then I, you know, push my Coke or Dr. Pepper or whatever it was, and suddenly I smell smoke, and then I see smoke. Like, what the hell? And I look behind the Coke machine. It's on fire. So, you know, and I'm like, hey, boss, Coke machine's on fire. And people are kind of a little bit freaking out and everything like that. And I'm just like, I'm kind of in shock a little. I'm like, oh, shoot, this thing's on fire. And the game producer, Ben, gosh, it's been 27 years. I forgot. One of the producers or higher ups in the game just calmly comes in, unplugs it, fire goes out. It's like, okay. It's just one of those incidents where you just never forget, like, yep, the Coke machine caught on fire. Great. And I'm so glad that we didn't have to, like, evacuate the building. And, you know, back then, we didn't really have cloud storage. We didn't have any of that. So if the whole place would have went up in flames, I mean, there's a good chance it would have went up in flames. You know what I mean? But, yeah, so little incidences like that happened all the time. There was a point where one of the level designers had checked out the library to his own computer. In other words, we backed up and then checked it out and then backed up. Every step was backed up naturally. But one time we checked out the game to a computer, he had to make some big changes, and something got corrupted naturally. And the game was basically ruined, broken, like big broken. And thank goodness we had a backup 2 levels deep to bring it back. And it just natural software development crises that thank God we're able to fix. You know, and it's just a good time, just a really, really good time. So anyway, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to answer them for you. And I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I guess I should tell you a little bit about who I am. Michael Wolf, like I said at the beginning of the video, I am or was a level designer on the original Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Now, 27 years later, I am in IT, and I do systems administrator work for several, you know, servers, and been doing that for about 6 years at where the place I'm at now, and just, you know, it's a good job, really good job. I should have turned off my phone. Anyway, that's my friend. Doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm doing IT work now, and what happened 30 hold on here, let me shut this off. Okay, I got married in the early 90s, and to the most beautiful woman I've ever known, and we've been married 34 years as of this month. During the Heroes of Might and Magic 3 software or development cycle, we developed a baby. So it was our 4th daughter, and So while we're in crunch time, I'm like, guys, gotta go have a baby. I'll be back. And so yeah, she now is 27 years old and playing Heroes 3, like a huge fan of Heroes 3, which is great because she was asking me how what maps did you make, Dad? And I told her twins, heroes of might, not magic. That's the single player map with no magic. And let's see, overthrow that amber, like I mentioned earlier, and there are others. I just gave her a list, and she started playing. It's like, Dad, I've been up all night, and she loves the game, loves it. It's pretty cool. So yeah, but anyway, so 34 years later, man, or excuse me, 27 years later, 34 years later in marriage, still happy, and yes, I still do play the game. I still play Heroes. As a matter of fact, I have busted open the editor and getting used to the new items that have been added ever since the initial game release. And even the Shadow of Death had a lot more items and options in the map editor than the original Heroes 3 1999 release. So I have to get used to the 2 new towns, all of the new artifacts, all of the new heroes, all of the new creatures, and even some terrain. So I'm getting used to that, and so I remember when they released the second. Was it the second expansion where they had the Forge Town? I think it was, and we had death threats. Don't you dare put in the Forge Town. And the thing is, they didn't. They didn't. Because that was at the same time that the Columbine shootings had happened. So that was a whole world event that put everybody in shock, everyone. The school shooting in Columbine, and we're just trying to design a fantasy game, and then this happens. And then we release the news of releasing the Forge Town in the expansion, and we get death threats. Not to. So the designers took it pretty seriously, and they decided not to release the Forge Town at that point. So I thought that was a little interesting that someone would be so obsessed with a video game that if you try to make it better, I will kill you. Like, really? Dude, go kiss a girl, touch grass, do something, man. Come on. So anyway, just very interesting the times that were happening then. So anyway, I just it's such an interesting, like, fans. Come on, guys, come on. Let's chill. So I told I'm all over the map on this, and I kind of really don't know where I was going with that, but we talked about level design work. I got my notes over here, so I'm just kind of seeing what I can do. I guess my question for you would be, what's the map that you've always come back to? What map in the single player side do you always come back to? And, with me, honestly, not coming back to my own maps, but actually, you know what I did? I came back to Heroes of Might Not Magic and played it again. Damn, that's a hard map. I had such a hard time winning that map because there's no magic. And, when I designed the map, I went into the options, disable all of the magic for the whole map. However, the editor doesn't let you disable all of them just by design. So it's a landlocked map. There's no water. So I gave the players summon boat, scuttle boat, walk on water, spells that were completely useless to this map, so that they would open up their mage tower and like, I can't use walk on water. We're in Colorado. We're in the center of the nation, and seriously. Anyway, funny. So completely useless spells. So that made it so hard. My goodness gracious. But the advantage is that the other team or the other computer players, they didn't have magic either. So it just made it very, much more difficult than I expected. Coming back playing that game all this time later, I remember the QA testers really complaining, like, "Dude, why is there no magic? Dude, I can't. You can't cast blind." Yeah, you can't. Good luck. But it turned out to be a pretty amazing experience. And when I did finally win, I'm like, yeah, just get that such a good feeling of just like, got him, and it's so cool. And it's interesting too. Speaking of playing maps that I designed, and then other maps. What's the other one? The one that's shaped like Europe. And I'm sorry, I can't think of the name, but that was the one that Jennifer created. She was an amazing designer. That game, whew, that single player map was incredible. I come back to that one all the time because it's such a great game, such a great map. And what else? To be honest, honestly, some of the time, about half the time, I just do random maps and just try to win those random maps. And honestly, they're a lot harder than I remember. Really are, And the thing is, when we were designing the games, we had small, uh, medium, large, and I think huge was part of it too. But my favorite size map was the medium. Big enough, but not too big, and you were able to get the job done with. You could put 8 players on the map and have enough room not to be on top of each other. Um, but I did make a small map with 8 players. That's the twins map, and you're literally on top of each other. And I purposely made it so it's very maze-like, and you have to go over here to go over here to get this, to go here to get this, and to walk through that. So you can go down to the bottom level. I made it very difficult on purpose. I'm sorry, not really sorry, but sorry, not sorry. And but very difficult because you're just so combined. But the mediums and the large maps were just a lot more breathing room. You can do a lot more, tell more of a story, do a lot more, use the terrain to tell the story as well as the daily events and pop ups and things like that. So it was just a lot of fun, and I was able to design, some of the terrain to force the character to go over here to get this thing because he has to get that thing to go over here to get this thing and then free the prisoner from the prison who's carrying this artifact that has to go back to this town up here. Treasure hunt. That was my favorite style. But I didn't get too deep with it because if you go 8 and 9 layers deep, you're like, this is stupid. So I tried to just make it maybe 2 or 3 deep. So it's just fun. And now we're looking at these gigantic maps. I'm like, it's going to take me 6 months to cross that map. Dude, how big is this thing? And then you got 2 layers. It's like I'm going to start in 5 years later in real time. I won. I'll be retired by the time I win this map. Those maps are enormous, just huge. And, I would like to play one, but I'm telling you, to support a map that big, the story had better be really good because, man, that's insanity huge. So, one of the questions I got before I started the stream was, do you prefer the single layer map or the double layer map? And honestly, I use the bottom layer, the dungeon level, very sparingly. I didn't see the point of just having a bunch of maze tunnels unless they had a specific purpose. A lot of my maps do have second and bottom levels, dungeon levels, but used sparingly. Just for that reason. I didn't want to waste a bunch of time getting lost in all of these caverns that look all the same after a while. Like, I don't even know where I'm at. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I spent most of my time on the top level with the terrains and the mountains and the rivers and the fires and the ash and the decorating and making the map look as attractive as possible. I would use the bottom layer for like tunnels, to go from here to there and just very sparingly. But I did like beautifying my maps as much as possible. because everyone who looked over my shoulder and all of our level designers, honestly, is like, that game is so pretty. I showed my mom, I showed my wife, the kids, friends. It's pretty. It's such a pretty game. And so we tried to make it as attractive and just like, oh, that's pretty cool. And as possible. So beautifying was a huge process in our maps, along with balance and actual gameplay with the characters. And if we put this hero here, he's got this ability and this specialty, but this hero over here has this specialty. We have to make it so that it's balanced. And that was the design side. And then the beautifiers, the artists and others who helped make the game pretty, also did a fantastic job. So we tried to do that as much as possible. Now, with all of the other new textures that have been added and all the new terrains, like, bro, this looks really good. And I'm just really, really surprised to see the group of people, you know who you are, who have taken Heroes 3 and just made it just really what it was meant to be. The technology we had, we were working on Pentium 166 computers with like maybe 16 megs of RAM. you know, the technology was, by today's standards, prehistoric, just crazy, crazy old. And now we've got our, AMDs and Intels that are just light years ahead with 32 gigs of RAM and, terabytes of storage and super fast process. Just the difference is night and day. But the game, at its core, still runs the exact same, and I think that is incredible. And we've been able to add so much. It's like I was on the team that, we basically, you're the reason. Oh, mention me in a comment. Did you? Let's see. I'm not seeing it. You know what? It's interesting. This is my first time doing a Facebook Live in a group, so pardon me if I'm a novice. I kind of am, but I like sharing the stuff. Let me go here and go here and let me go here. Sorry, I'm doing a little. So I'm seeing comments, but I'm not seeing. Oh, okay, there we go. All right, it says that I'm live. Well, that's good. So it's just interesting because I like that the game has come so far, and I was on the team. It just launched the maiden voyage. You guys, this stream really isn't about me or the crew. We set it sail. You guys have kept it going for 27 years, and that is you guys. Honestly, like I said in the description, you guys are the real heroes of this. It's keeping it alive for as long as this game has been alive, and I so appreciate this because seeing this game what it is today, and it blows my mind. Back when we were designing this game, we thought, yeah, we'll probably get 5 years out of this game. It's we all loved the game. We're releasing something very special, and we knew it. And like any other game cycle, you get 2 or 3 years, and then you move on to the next game. The 27 years, dude, that's unheard of in the video game industry. Very, very few games reach that. Your Halo, you got Age of Empires. What other games have lasted? Diablo, but Diablo 2, in my opinion, was the best Diablo. Just my opinion. I never really played Diablo 3, so it is what it is, but Diablo 2 lasted a very long time as well. Very long time. But did it have the same core fan base and just an amazing community as Heroes 3? Don't know. But if I do, cool. I just really think that this community that has supported Heroes 3 for this long, you guys are the real heroes. And I genuinely thank you, and I'm sure everyone else would too that was on the team. And so, just crazy, crazy, crazy. And I'm looking at some of the comments here to see if I can find them. And what I'm going to do next time, actually, I think what I'm going to do is if I do another live, which I'd like to, and just kind of share my screen with the editor and actually maybe even some gameplay. I wasn't able to do it on Facebook because Facebook doesn't allow screen sharing while streaming live, which, dumb guys, you're missing out. That's a missed opportunity. But I'm going to use OBS and I'm going to use YouTube, and I'll be able to share my screen, play the game, share the music, share the editor, and kind of walk through it and with you guys, and just design a map and just kind of go through what goes through my head and talk about how designing happens. If you're all interested, let me know in the comments, because I would love to do that. And the thing is, on a side note, people say you should live stream you playing the game, playing Heroes 3. I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess, but it would be me, it would be you watching me play a game. And that'd be it. I don't want to broadcast that. Watching Mr. Stoneface play a video game. I don't know. I guess I could, but it's just, granted, I know you're not watching me, you're watching the game. But if I were watching somebody play a video game and all I got was wow, edge of your seat entertainment right there, So maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. But sharing the map and really nerding out on design and putting together a map, I think would be a lot of fun. So I think that'd be really great. So one more thing. What else do I have on here? Looking at my notes here. Is that phrases? Where are my notes? So ChatGPT is now telling me to say, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Does anybody here? How many of you tried your hand at level design? And like I see once in a while in the threads of the Might and Magic 3, I have a map. Who wants to test it? I will play the map. I would love to do that. The last time I played a fan map is a couple years ago, and this guy sent it to me, and it was the huge map. I'm like, bro, give me 5 years to play this, and I'll get back to you. But what he did, very good story, absolutely beautiful map. This guy put some time into this thing, and I was honestly blown away. I'm like, this is amazing. So you can tell the guy put in the hours. And he told me it took him 2 years to make this map. I'm like, dude, we had 1 year to create an entire game, and you did this one map in 2 years. That's wild. So, anyway, it showed. He did a fantastic job. The one thing he did is all the resources, all the creatures, well-balanced towns, heroes, everything was beautiful. The one thing he did not put in the map was crystal mines. There was no crystal anywhere on that map. So you had to get really creative with gathering crystal, because no crystal on the entire map. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I've got like 9 billion gold and everything else is just overflowing and zero crystal. I'm like, okay, bro. So that game, I actually did eventually win the game. But it took months. It did. It took me months to win that game, because you play a couple hours here, you play a couple hours there, and adulting, that whole adult thing. But eventually, I did reach back out to him. And he's like, "It took you long enough." I'm like, "Shut up." But I did win, and I had to do the marketplace, and I had to do the exchange of creatures for resources, and just all this math and all of this behind the scenes. Like, bro, that made it so much harder. I thought making a map without magic was difficult. Take away one resource, and not even it's somewhat a significant resource, but it's not like there's no gold. Good luck, It was a challenge, and again with fans making maps, I love playing those. So if you ever want to, I would love to play it. If you ever want to, just let me know. I will absolutely play your map and let you know feedback and let you know if it's fun, whatever. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to like critique your map. You should have done this and that. Is the map fun? Yes. That's the most important part. And I would love to play your maps. So we got about 10 more minutes, and I'm going to have to head out here because I got to go pick up my wife from the airport. She has been hired to read for an audiobook and kind of historical fiction type thing where she's an excellent reader out loud, and so she's flying out of state, go read a book. She's coming home tonight, so I'm gonna learn all about the book she read, and so I think it's biblical fiction. I don't know honestly, but I hope it comes out really well. I hope the book sells well, and so we'll see. That'll be good. But I got to head out here in about 10 minutes to go take care of that. And if you have any questions, either in the stream or off or after, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer or just chat because I actually really would like to get to know some of you guys and gals. Or how many girls are in this group? That's what I want to know. How many girl Heroes fans are there? Because I know that a majority of players are male. How many ladies are in the house? Just curious. And my daughter, huge fan of the game, and I know that actually my wife, fun fact, she contributed a lot of just quips and funny lines in the comic my brain just went flat. The secret campaign in Armageddon's Blade. She contributed a few funny lines in that one, but she's actually really never played this game. I'm like, hun, this is the woman who I'd come home from work. Hey, hun, I finished Half-Life. Hey, hun, I finished Age of Empires. Hey, hun, I finished Doom. Hey, hun, I finished Doom 2. I'm like, before me. I'm the one who's the gamer here, yet you're demolishing all these games. But she never got around to playing Heroes 3. Interesting. Maybe it's because this game is a slower game. It takes more time. But I beat Warcraft 2. I'm like, I wanted to beat that before you. But yeah, she's a pretty avid gamer as well. And but I'll have to put her in front of Heroes 3 just to have her sit down and play it because it's a great story. It's everything. Your every move determines what happens next, which is very cool. But she's coming home tonight, and maybe I'll have her go down there and try it out. Try the tutorial at least, do something. So, and then someone else asked me the question: if you could change one thing about Heroes, um, what would it be, as far as design goes? And this is something I ran into several times, where you're playing the map, or the scenario, whatever, and you have dominated all the towns. You've dominated pretty much all of the resource mines. And you're looking around, and you spend a week or two searching for that one hero that's hidden somewhere. And you spend all your time looking for that one last hero, and at the very last second, he captures one of your towns. You're like, where were you? And now, because he only has 7 days to find a map, or excuse me, find a town, and then he can stay in the game. If he doesn't find, as you know, if he doesn't find a town in 7 days, the game's over. But I'm running around. Where the heck is this guy? Where is he? And then you look on your map in the corner, he just took one of my towns. Seriously. So now you gotta gather up all your troops and gather up all your resources and gather up all your creatures and get over there, and I don't know how would you solve. I guess the best wait would just be wait 7 days and then the game's over. But at the same time, it's like, and how do you know there aren't two heroes? Actually, that happened to me on Heroes of Might Not Magic, where I'm running around. I got all the towns. I'm good. I'm good. You know, and then suddenly, boom, takes one of my towns. I'm like, oh. So what I did is I went into the game options and turned the game speed on slow for the computer player, because I usually just put it on speed so it just goes through and comes back to my turn, save time. But this time I went on the slow, so you could see the computer player, moving around very slowly. I'm like, USOB, there are two of you running around, and oh, I was so mad because they're in the you can't see because I have an adventure there, so it's under the cloud of war, so you can't see where they're at. I'm like, and then suddenly there they are, and so I saved my game at that point. I was like, I want to go kick his ass because, And finally, eventually, like, I think after he took my town, I won in like 14 more turns. I finally won. But the thing is, maybe that's a feature. I don't know. It's just one of those frustrating things. I'm like, I know you're there, and I need to find you. And it's so frustrating that I can't find you. So, guard up all of my towns. I've got like, 20 archangels in each town. So if they try to attack, they're just going to get demolished, hopefully. They don't have, 500 archangels or whatever. But yeah, that's my most frustrating part, is that last little bit where you have to like find the needle in the haystack and they keep stealing your crap. You're like, stop. So, anywho. But anyway, it has been a fantastic time. I really have enjoyed just blabbing and talking about the game. And again, from the bottom of my heart, we set sail to this. This is not about me. This is not about the original crew. This is about you. You guys have kept this game alive. And that is commendable. That is so unbelievably awesome. And I think everybody on the original Heroes of Might and Magic 3 crew just salutes. Just thank you so very much. We never dreamed that this game would last this long, 27 years. And just thank you. It's just incredible. So I would like to do this again sometime. The next time with sharing the maps, like I said earlier. If you're interested, let me know. And anyway, yeah, cool stuff. I'm really glad I was able to do this. I appreciate it. Thank you for all of the responses to my question from the post of like, where are you from and how long you've been playing the game. The love that came out of that was so incredible. And I deeply appreciate it. Everybody's like, you're a crown, so like, come on, man. Come on. I helped design the game, and I love doing it. Don't get me wrong, I loved it. But I was part of an incredible team that set the maiden voyage, and you guys really kept it alive. And that is you again. You are the heroes, and I deeply appreciate it. So thank you so very much for watching. And if you're watching it archived, you know what? Reach out anytime. I'm in the group. I'm active in the group. But yeah, shoot me a message. I'll answer it as quickly as I can. And if you have any questions or anything nerdy about Heroes 3, I'll scratch my 27-year-old memory and share my thoughts, and we'll get that done. So thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.